Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Deal Making Podcast with Dan Del Real. So this is part 2 in our series, Everything You Need to Know About a 1031 Exchange. If you missed part 1, go back, take a look. Today we're going to be talking about how a 1031 exchange works. The 1031 exchange, it's one of the most powerful tools in an investor's tool belt to help build wealth over time. If you've ever wondered, about how investors sell one property and roll all of the equity into the new property without paying taxes, this is the episode for you. All right, so here are 6 additional things to know about how a 1031 exchange works. 1, the purchase agreement. Everything starts with the paperwork. When you're completing a 1031 exchange, you need to include language that states clearly the buyer and seller both understand and agree to cooperate with each other so that everybody's on the same page. It's important that this is in the purchase agreement so there's no confusion and escrow has clear instructions to follow to complete the 1031 exchange. The second thing to know is a qualified intermediary. There's a big rule that the IRS has when completing a 1031 exchange, you cannot touch the money. So a qualified intermediary is a third party that kind of acts like a go-between so that when the property sells and the money's received, you don't touch it. It goes to the qualified intermediary. They're holding the money, making sure that you follow the rules for completing the 1031 exchange and you don't touch the money, which would otherwise fail the 1031 exchange. The third thing to know is the 45-day identification period. Once the property closes escrow, you have 45 days to identify in writing potential properties that you're going to purchase to complete the 1031 exchange. That's not a lot of time. 45 days will go by fast, so planning ahead is key. The fourth thing to know is there's 180 days to close period. Again, from the day that you close escrow on your property, you have 180 days to close escrow on the new property or properties. If you miss that deadline, the exchange is over, it fails, and you lose all the tax benefits. Now, this is not in addition to the 45-day period. Both of these periods are running side by side. The fifth thing to know is a like-for-like exchange. The way that the IRS or government looks at the 1031 exchange, it doesn't mean the properties have to necessarily be identical. It doesn't have to be an office for an office. It could be an office for a retail building. It just means that they both have to be investment properties or for business purposes. You could sell apartments and buy a retail building or sell land and buy office space. What you can't do is sell investment property and then use it to buy a home that you then go live in. The sixth thing to know is equal or greater value. To fully defer taxes, you've got to buy something that's equal or greater in value than the property that you sold. If you buy less or take some of the cash out, you'll pay taxes on that portion. That's what's called boot. All right, so to recap, definitely make sure you put 1031 language in your purchase agreement. Use a qualified intermediary. You have 45 days to identify property. You have 180 days to close escrow on those properties. Your properties must be like kind, and the new property needs to be of equal or greater value. If you get those steps right, you can keep rolling your money and moving it forward into the next property without taking the immediate tax hit. In future episodes, I'm going to unpack how investors have used the 1031 exchange to scale up their real estate portfolios. So stick around, and if you found this helpful, definitely make sure you subscribe. All right, that's all we have for you today. What do you guys think about how a 1031 exchange works? Does it make sense? Do you still have questions? Are you more confused than ever? Drop a comment. Let us know. We want to make sure that we get you all of the information that you need. Make sure you join us next week when we get into some of the nuances, best practices, and key considerations for completing a 1031 exchange. We're going to bring it home and we're going to start putting all the pieces together. So you definitely want to make sure you join in for that. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe so you get new videos when they drop. And if you know anyone that could benefit from this information or who's thinking about selling property, do us a favor, share this content with them so that they could get the information they need to make their real estate goals happen. All right, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.